Hi guys, welcome back to the Makeup Hunter. I'm Laura. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you the first part of possibly a 2 or 3 part series showing you my eyeshadow collection. I mentioned in my eyeshadow declutter that unfortunately I was out of shot when I was showing each individual palette to my mum, and a couple of people have mentioned that they'd like to see an eyeshadow palette collection. So this is the first part. This is going to be all of my palettes from Colourpop and BH Cosmetics. There's a couple of new palettes in there as well. So I hope you're going to enjoy this video. Please do keep watching if it's something you're interested in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like if you enjoy what you see. Leave me a comment. I am really working hard on growing the channel, being consistent with my posting. I've been filming quite a lot recently, so yeah, as I say, if you want to see my eyeshadow palette collection, please keep watching. Hit the notification bell to be reminded on the rare occasion that I post to this channel, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, bye. Hi guys, welcome. So I hope this setup is going to be okay. I'm working in completely natural light, but it is just after 6 PM in the evening, so I'm conscious that the light may sort of go. If it does, I'll have to switch to artificial light. So as I mentioned in the introduction, because of the amount of eyeshadow palettes that I have, I am going to have to split this video into 2 parts. And what I've done is I'm going to just do it literally in the order that I store things. So I store this, you've probably seen it in other videos, I store this, it's essentially a letter rack. I store this on top of a chest of drawers, and originally it held all of my Colourpop eyeshadow palettes, but now it's also holding BH Cosmetics. So what I've done is I've pulled all of my new eyeshadow palettes as well. These are all BH Cosmetics, and I also have put back the eyeshadow palette that's in my Shop My stash just for the purpose of this video. I've got a Beauty Bay box over here, and this is my Shop My stash bag. The Beauty Bay box is because I've just had 2 brand new palettes, so I thought I would just include them in this video. They've only arrived this afternoon, so I thought I'd put them in here as they are now part of my collection. So what I'm going to do is put the BH Cosmetics ones aside for now, and we'll go through what's actually in the storage. Hopefully the colours and everything show up alright with the natural light. I'm going to do my absolute best. I'm doing this because as I've probably already mentioned, when I did my eyeshadow palette declutter, unfortunately I was out of frame when I was showing each individual palette, so this is going to give you a good, you know, thorough look at the eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to open every one, show you them, talk a little bit about them. I'm probably not going to swatch, simply because there is so many palettes here, and if I swatched things I would be here all bloody night. So let's get started. So the first one is the Colourpop It's All Good eyeshadow palette. This is in my Shop My Stash rotation at the moment. It's a beautiful springy summery eyeshadow palette, but it does have some good neutrals. I absolutely love this palette. It's one of my probably all-time favourite Colourpop palettes. The only thing is this pressed glitter here, the oils have sort of leaked into the packaging and it looks a little bit, it doesn't look the best. It still works perfectly fine, but it's just, it doesn't look great. I've seen that happen on lots of Colourpop palettes, but yeah, this is absolutely stunning palette, lovely formula. I really love the variety of transition shades and these beautiful juicy pops of colour. I'm using this in my Shop My Stash at the moment because I'm doing a themed Shop My Stash, which is juicy fruits, and this just screams to me like fruity, fruit themed because of these beautiful like juicy pops of colour. So that's the Colourpop It's All Good. Next I have the Bare Necessities palette. Obviously these are all going to be Colourpop, so I'm not going to say Colourpop every time. This is the Bare Necessities palette. Really lovely neutral palette. You've got a good mix of cool tones, warm tones and neutrals. I have used this palette a couple of times. Really enjoyed the looks that I have come up with it. It's just I don't, my big palettes do get neglected because as I've got older, I much prefer a smaller palette, like a 4 pan or a 9 pan, something that I don't really have to think too much about. So this is a big palette, and it's one that I never think to reach for, but this is like my bread and butter really. These are the tones that I go for all the time. Really, really beautiful palette, great quality. So that's the Bare Necessities. Then I have the So Jaded palette by Kathleen Lights. I have never used this palette, which is such a shame. It's not one that I am going to, ever thought about decluttering, because I think it's such a stunning palette. It's just one that I never think to reach for, again being a bigger palette. But I have decided, I think, that I'm going to put this in next month's rotation of Shop My Stash. I have got an idea of the theme that I want to do for next month, and I think this will fit in nicely. Even though this for me is more of an autumn winter palette, for the theme that I've got in mind, I think this one could work really, really nicely. So that's the Colourpop So Jaded. And then in here also I have, I'm sorry, that's my door creaking. It'll probably slam shut in a minute. This is my Colourpop singles. I have just, these are all Colourpop individual shadows, and then I've got a Colourpop blusher and highlighter. I never think to use these, and again I think I may be putting this in a upcoming Shop My Stash to get some more use out of it. I mainly got shimmer shadows because I wanted some sort of like lid toppers, so that's what I've got, and then I've just got these 4 mattes. So I've got a visitor now. So yeah, those are my Colourpop singles. Next I've got the Through My Eyes palette, which was a collab with I Love Sarah E. This is an absolutely stunning palette. Again, I just really neglect my Colourpop palettes, which is such a shame because they are stunning, but this is a really nice like summery palette in my opinion. It's got your bread and butter neutrals, but then some really interesting pops of colours. Okay, next up in the back here we've got the Sweet Talk palette. This is another one of my probably favourite Colourpop palettes. Everybody seems to love this eyeshadow palette. They just did a really good job with this. It's so pretty. Every look I've done with it I've really enjoyed. This Super Shock shadow here is absolutely stunning. Yeah, this is just a really beautiful palette. Then I have the You Are a Cutie Colourpop palette. This was an Ulta exclusive, so being in the UK I wasn't able to easily get my hands on this, but I had this and another palette that I was desperate for shipped over from a lovely lady in the States who was on a Colourpop group with me. She purchased the two for me and then shipped them over. I obviously paid for the, you know, the shipping costs and everything. So yeah, this is the You Are a Cutie palette. Haven't used it very much. I've used it I think once. Really pretty palette. Just the running theme here with the Colourpop palettes is that I just don't use them enough, and I really need to start. So that's the You Are a Cutie. And then this next one is the Bye Bye Birdie palette. This is a really pretty palette as well. Lovely rich purpley jewel tones. I've used this once, I think. Really lovely. You've got your two super shock shadows here, and a pressed glitter. I'm not a huge fan of pressed glitters. I wish Colourpop would stop putting them in all their palettes that they pretty much do, but yeah, this is a really nice palette. Then I have the All That. This was a Valentine's palette release. I've never used this. This is a stunning palette. Lovely rich wine tones. This is more of a autumny winter palette for me, but definitely one that I really need to put in a shop my stash perhaps towards the end of the year and get some use out of it. Oops. Okay, that's the back bit done. I'm going to move on to these front ones to sort of keep in the same theme. So this is the Flutterby palette. This is a beautiful palette. I've never used it, but it is really stunning. Muted lavenders and mauvey tones. Really pretty palette. But pressed glitter again. Next up, another favourite. This is the California Love palette. I've used this one once, I think, but I say it's a favourite because these are my favourite tones of eyeshadow. I could wear these every day for the rest of my life, these types of colours. Really stunning, rich, warm tones. Then I have the X's and O's. This was another one that was an Ulta exclusive and was shipped over with the You Are a Cutie palette. This again, my favourite kind of tones, deep, warm browns and deep rosy tones. I have used this. I didn't think I had, but I have used this one. Probably just the once, but yeah, really pretty palette. Really versatile. You could do so many different kinds of looks with this palette. It's just a shame that Colourpop do these Ulta exclusives because they ship to the UK customs free, but you can't get Ulta exclusives customs free, so it's just a bit of a, you know, for international customers it's a bit of a pain. this is the Colourpop Good Sport palette. Unfortunately, Colourpop have discontinued this palette now, which is such a shame because it's a really beautiful palette. I think it's a really unusual colour story, really nice for autumn and winter. Like, I get real like Halloweeny vibes from this with the purples and the greens. So this is the Good Sport palette. And then the last one of this size of palette is the Whatever palette. Again, this is another favourite colour story for me. Really beautiful, rich tones. Another bloody pressed glitter, but you know, we'll allow it. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the little 9pan palettes. Okay, so first of all, I've got the Frozen 2 Honor palette. This one was a Christmas gift from my mum and dad. I'm a huge fan of Frozen. The first Frozen film means quite a lot to me. Reminds me of some good times. So this is the Anna palette. I have worn both of them. I've worn the Elsa palette the most, but these are really beautiful palettes. The formula's just stunning, and I think they're, you know, they're such a lovely collector's item that's also really functional. This is the Elsa palette. So this is the Elsa palette. I wore this for Christmas dinner. I think it was last year. But yeah, this is an absolutely stunning palette, really unusual. I've used most of the colours in here except for I don't think I've used this one or the pressed glitter. But yeah, it's a really, really beautiful palette. Okay, next up we have the Birds of Paradise palette. I only got, there was a collection of different like bird themed palettes. I kind of wished I'd have got another one from the palette, which I think was called collection, which was called Night Owl, which was like unusual like brown tones, but they were like a limited edition, and I decided just to get this one, which is some beautiful orangey tones. I took this away on holiday with me once. Really beautiful, you know, just a nice easy palette to use. I really do love the smaller palettes. Next we have the Blush Crush. I waited ages to get the Blush Crush and Nude Mood palettes because they were constantly sold out, but this is a really beautiful palette, perfect for spring. Really looking forward to getting some use out of this in the upcoming months. Beautiful. Next I have the Nude Mood palette. This again is one of my favourite types of palettes, my favourite sorts of tones. Unfortunately I did dink this one when I was doing my eyeshadow palette declutter. I have used this a couple of times. I took this on holiday with the Birds of Paradise palette. It's just a really easy palette to use. And I think this palette, the tones in this are really elegant. So I have this one and another one, which I like taking away with me for like one for daytime and then this one for the evening, because I just think these tones in this one are just really glamorous and elegant. Okay, next we have Making Mauves. This is another one of these sort of nude collection that they did with the Blush Crush Nude Mood and this one. This is beautiful. I haven't actually used this one, but this is such a stunning colour story. This is my newest Colourpop palette. I haven't bought any Colourpop for quite a while because, as you can see, I have so much of it and I'm not reaching for them, but Colourpop's definitely up there for choices for my Shop My Stashes, just to get some use out of some of these beautiful palettes. Okay, now we're on to the plastic casing. These are the monochromatic palettes. This was their first one that they did, which was a collaboration with Colourpop. This is the brown sugar palette. I got this when it was being discontinued. It was on clearance. Really lovely palette. Again, my sort of tones. This is one of my newest ones as well. I think I got it at the same time as the Making Moves. But yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful palette with some unusual brown tones in it. Next up we have the Mint to Be palette. This is another really pretty springy palette. I have used this one. Obviously it's a pastel palette, so the looks that you're going to get out of it aren't going to be very varied, which is sort of the theme with these monochromatic palettes, but they're lovely to have for if you fancy doing something a little bit different. Next, this is the one that I've probably used the most out of the monochromatic palettes. This is the Aha Honey. Lovely yellow tones that I absolutely love, especially in the summer. I did some really fun looks with this in the summer. Not last year but the year before, so yeah, really pretty palette. And I have actually used the glitter that's in there. Baby Got Peach. This one is a newer one to my collection as well. Really pretty palette. Nice new sort of more of a neutral one that you can sort of wear anytime. A really wearable, you know, wearable, such a, you know, a funny phrase to use when it comes to makeup, because wearable is different for everybody, but for me this is a really wearable palette. Next up, my favourite, one of the 9 pans, the Going Coconuts. It doesn't look like it, but I have used this a ton. I took this on holiday with me with the Nude Mood. This was my daytime palette. The Nude Mood was my evening palette. I love every look that I've done with this, and it's this shade here, Get Cracking, is a matte with a glitter, but the glitter in this really does show up if you apply it with your finger and like pack it onto the lid. And I loved doing like this on the brow bone, this in the crease, and then this on the lid, for a really nice simple daytime look. Really, really beautiful palette. People love this palette, and rightly so. Next we've got the Orange You Glad, another one that I really love and have used quite a few times. I just love warm tones. I don't know what more to say about it. I just love these kind of colours. Then one that gets neglected that I don't really think to use because it's such a, you know, not me colour story, is the Ooh La La. This was one that I very nearly decluttered when I did my eyeshadow palette declutter, but I have used it a few times and I have enjoyed the looks that I've done with it. And like I say, it is nice to have these sorts of tones for if you do fancy doing something a little bit different. So this is the Ooh La La. Then I have the It's My Pleasure lovely purple palette. Again, I've used this a couple of times, really enjoyed the looks that I've done with it. I got my mum this palette as well because she is such a big fan of purple eyeshadow and she loves this one. So yeah, this is the It's My Pleasure. We are losing the light now, but it seems to still be okay. The Just My Look, this was another one I was tempted to declutter when I did my declutter series. I've used it quite a few times. The only reason that I was thinking of decluttering it, green is my favourite colour, but I find that whatever look I do with this palette, it always looks the same unless I use like this Mary Jane or olive shade. If you take those two out of the palette, it is very sort of samey, but green's my favourite colour. I have used it and enjoyed the looks, so I just decided to keep hold of it. Then I've got the Main Squeeze palette, really pretty palette, fits in with my sort of favourite sort of tones. I like mixing reds with warm browns. A lot of these palettes, these monochromatic ones, I tend to mix with other palettes. If I'm feeling brave, I will just use the one palette, but I do like mixing them. This looks really lovely mixed with some like dark chocolatey browns. So that's the Main Squeeze. Then I have the Strawberry Shake. I haven't used this one, I don't think. No, I haven't used this one yet. This was another one that's sort of newer to my collection. I bought it at the same time as the Brown Sugar and Making Morphs. Nice palette, some unusual pinky tones. Looking forward to getting some more use out of that. And then lastly, for Colourpop, I have the LiQWYD. This is another one that I purchased for my mum as well. Got it at the same time as the Strawberry Shake. I haven't used this one either. This is a beautiful palette. I have green eyes, so purples do really sort of complement my eye colour, but I'm just so boring when it comes to the makeup that I do, hence why I'm doing these themed Shop My Stashes to sort of push me out of my comfort zone. But yeah, my mum absolutely loves this palette. She's used hers quite a lot. Really, really pretty. I do think this one is probably, next to the Going Coconuts, probably one of my favourite 9 pans. Okay, and now we'll move on to BH Cosmetics. Okay guys, so I've just put everything away because I was getting a little bit drowned by palettes. So next we're on to BH Cosmetics. These are the newest palettes to my collection. I've been on a little bit of a BH Cosmetics obsession. So this is the Smitten in Switzerland palette. I use this in my testing BH Cosmetics palettes, my like first impressions of the brand. I really like this palette. I think it's so pretty and the shades in it are so unusual, like the colour story is really unusual. So I absolutely love this palette. The shimmers are chef's kiss. In fact, that's sort of a running theme with BH Cosmetics. The shimmers are just out of this world. Next we have the Lost in Los Angeles palette. I haven't used this one yet, but this is a beautiful pastel palette. I've got a feeling I am going to be absolutely obsessed with this palette when I start using it, because it's got a lot of shimmers and the shimmers are such pretty colours. I have been beyond impressed with BH Cosmetics. It's like a brand for me to watch, because it's kind of replaced my love for Colourpop Cosmetics in a little way, because they're a lot more accessible here in the UK because they're sold on Beauty Bay, and the price point of them is amazing, and I really think their colour stories are so fun. So this is the Blueberry Muffin palette. I have used this, did a look with this quite recently. Absolutely love this palette. The tones in it are so different for me. Blue eyeshadow is kind of intimidating, I find, but this is just a stunning palette. I used Fluffy, Cheat Day, I think. No, I didn't. I used Fluffy, So Good, Crumble and Cravings with Sugared in the inner corner, and I absolutely loved the look. It was such a pretty blue look that wasn't too out there for me, because I'm such, like I say, I find blue eyeshadow quite intimidating, so love this palette. And then I have the Avocado Toast palette. Again, I've used this one, tested it out, really loved the look. The shimmers in this are just incredible. I used Pink Salt, Ripe, Paprika and Expensive, and then I used a little bit of green juice as well. So really stunning palette, love it. And as I've said a couple of times, green is my favourite colour, so this palette really does speak to me. Next we've got the Trendy in Tokyo, sorry. I haven't used this one yet. This one, oh, talk about intimidating for me with all these lovely bright colours, but it really excites me, this palette does. I cannot wait to use this in the summer and do some really fun, bright, colourful looks. Like this wasabi shade is just incredible, and I really like this row, like these purples and blues. So yeah, really can't wait to use that. I think that will be really fun with a really dewy complexion, all cream products, and then a lovely bright shadow look. Okay, and now these are my newest palettes from BH Cosmetics. This is the Mimosa palette. I used this one yesterday. I did in my this isn't in my Shop My Stash, but I've got a bag that I keep my brand new makeup in. Anything that I've bought since the beginning of April lives in this bag, so that I can pick from new stuff, get some use out of it, decide if it's going to go in my Shop My Stash or go back into my collection. And I used this for the first time yesterday. I did an orange juice look, so obviously I used the shade OJ. I used Sunny, OJ and Champagne along with some the two palettes that are in my Shop My Stash. Again, absolutely beautiful. This Champagne shade, oh my giddy aunt, it is beautiful. I was saying to my mum last night that every time I use a BH Cosmetics palette and then it comes to washing my makeup off at the end of the night, I'm really sad to wash my face because the eyeshadow just looks so pretty. So this is going to stay in my brand new makeup bag so I can use it a little bit more before I put it away into my collection. Then I've got the beautiful in Barcelona. I haven't used this one yet, but I am planning on using it in the next couple of weeks. One of the looks in my themed makeup looks is blackcurrant juice, and I'm thinking these colours will fit really nicely with it. So this is a stunning palette. This is one of the palettes that really drew me into BH Cosmetics because I think this colour story is just so stunning and really unusual. So that's beautiful in Barcelona. And again, that's going back into my brand new makeup stash. Then I have the BFF palette. This is a collaboration with two ladies called Alondra and Elsie. It's 20 pans and is just stunning. I think this colour story is really gorgeous. You've got a real good variety of neutrals, but then some really unusual fun pops of colour like this olivey duochrome and these baby blues. I wasn't going to get this palette, but I saw it on a friend of mine's channel in sort of like better lighting and up close, and I just thought, yeah, I've got to get that palette. It's a bit of me. So this is going back into my new stash and I can't wait to use it. And then lastly are the two that came today. These are brand new to BH Cosmetics. I think they only launched yesterday or Friday. They've done a remix dance range, so they've got 80s, 90s and noughties. This is the 80s one. Now I am scared of colour, as I have said a couple of times, but these palettes for some reason really spoke to me, really called to me, and I've got to say I am so blown away by... Oh, that was the dog burping. I do apologise if you heard that. The weight of these, they feel really like luxurious. The packaging, they're much weightier than the other BH Cosmetics palettes, and also the pan size. These are huge pans, but like the shades are all like lyrics from songs or titles from songs, like Colour Chameleon, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. I was born in 1985, so this sort of is a bit of me, this palette. I just think it's so fun. I can't wait to use it. I mean, this row's so pretty. But yeah, that's the 80s remix. And then last but not least, from that same collection, the 90s dance palette. This again, honestly, this palette just is so beautiful to me. Look at this, a pastel dream. I love that there's a neutral row, because obviously in the 90s we loved our brown neutral eyes, but these pastel colours are just so pretty. Like this I'm Blue and Creep, Too Sexy. This Hit Me Baby shade is such a pretty light lavender. I'm really excited to use this. I think it's just so pretty. I didn't get the Naughties palette, although I'm sort of regretting not picking it up because I love these two so much. But if you've seen the pictures of the Naughties palette, it's quite a dark, like vampy palette. Lots of dark browns, dark blues. In fact, similar in my opinion, to the Beautiful in Barcelona palette. So that one sort of didn't speak to me as much as these two did. So that is your lot for this video. I know this is going to be a super long video, so I do apologise. I hope you got some snacks. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for part 2. There may even have to be a part 3. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell to be reminded on the rare occasion that I upload to this channel. Keep loving yourself, keep loving each other. I hope that whatever's going on in your life at the moment isn't too overwhelming, and if it is, I am sending you all the love in the world. See you next time. Bye.